Welcome back everybody. So this is a follow-on to the pattern tutorial that I've done a couple of weeks ago, and there have been some questions around that. So first things first, I was referring this book, and it's been out of print for quite a few years now, and some people can still get it in second-hand bookstores. Certainly most libraries would still have it. There are some online bookstores, they sell it for around about $125, which is obviously I think 4 or 5 times the original price, but that's what happens if a book goes out of print and is sought after. Now, the way I was explaining things about patterns in this book was all about working out the sequence of a particular pattern and when it repeats itself. So that is a pattern block, so to speak. Now, there are some patterns, they need that sequence, but they also need a certain layout in order for the pattern to work. Now, prime example being something like this, Patikitiki. So not only need you work out sort of where your pattern repeats, but also how to lay the color. And Mick Pendergrast in the book actually done you a favor. What a lot of people didn't realize, or contacted me and said, oh, I don't know, is he's actually written the sequence on the right hand side. He always puts little notes there that tells you how to lay the pattern if it's one of those colored ones. So it would tell you, you know, black, white, or in this case, white, white, black, white, black, white, black. Now, that one, right? It's multiples of 7. Now, if you know anything about weaving, you know that in order to log off, ideally, you have even numbers. So anything that you can divide by 2 and it ends up an even number. So if you divide your 60 by 2, makes 30 is an even number, yep, you can log off. Now, it becomes a bit more complicated when we're talking about multiples of 5 or 7 or 9, as in most of these Patiki and Patikitiki patterns. So that's a bit of a tricky one. So if you do your average, like this one in particular, it's multiples of 7. So 10 times 7, good number, isn't it? 70. Divide those by 2, what do we get? 35. 35 an even number? No, it's not. Therefore, you can't use 70 as your total. Because the idea is that, as in the Raranga Whakairo, you start them flat and then you join. So you need to somehow, if you end in these particular patterns, if you end, let's say, on the white, you need to start, or need to have started, on the colored. It's the only way around it. Otherwise, they never work out. And I know of quite a few people who have tried this pattern a number of times, some even for years, and just didn't grasp the concept that it needs to, not only have the right sequence, but also the amount of blocks. So you can't have 7 times 7. Doesn't work. So essentially, for this particular pattern, so 7 times 10 doesn't work, because that's like 35. Well, divided by 2 is 35. It's not an even number. Forget about it. So 11 times 7 clearly doesn't work. Try the next sort of even number. So 7 times 12. That would be 84. Divided by 2 is 42. Is an even number. Yep, you can certainly try that. 7 times 14. That would be 98. Divided by 2. 49. Doesn't work. 7 times 16. Divided by 2. Get 56. that's a good number. By the way, that's that size. If anybody wants to know, that's 112 whenua. So that, you know, and so on and so forth. So you want to get your base number, work out your pattern first. So you work out your pattern block, which in this case is a block of 7. And by the way, the color needs to go in both ways on this pattern, not just in one. So that's the added complication. So if you add, you know, you have white, 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 white. So you start, I would recommend for this pattern, you start with white, 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 white. So basically 4 whites, and then add the color in, and white and color, and white and color, and so on. So you're working out your pattern and takitahi. This really, really good idea to start these ones. Well, most of them are takitahi anyway. So you work them out before you even start. How much color you need, how much natural or other color, whatever. So by the time you join it, not only does the pattern match up, but also you have an even number to lock the top off. There are ways around of locking off without even numbers. Yes, I know, but to make it easier to start with, you know, you can always make it different and difficult down the track, but to make it easier, find yourself an even number. So that same principle applies to basically a lot of these patterns that have, you know, when you look at the pattern sequence, some of these, some of them, they're pretty easy. They got, you know, 8, 10, 6, 4, you know, they got even numbers anyway, but some of them have uneven pattern sequences. And that's the way to get around it. So you need to work out the total of your kitty, not just the little sequence. So that's just the added little thing on the on working out how to make a pattern with the book or of another kitty or anything like that. And I hope that solved that problem for some or most of you. I don't know if it will, but we'll see. Anyway, happy weaving.